For joining us today. I'm Lori Gebert with Asset View, and I've got my guest with us, Gaylene Meyer, VP of Global Marketing and Communications at Impinj. I want to say thanks so much for joining us today, Gaylene. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, great to be here.
Thanks so much. So as the webinar title suggested, we're talking about leveraging RFID for effective inventory management. I think everybody, on this call today understands how important it is to know what you have, where it is, who has it, and a variety of other factors to make sure that you are, fulfilling orders, keeping inventory, and, basically making sure you've got a cohesive idea of where everything is being stored. And we know how difficult that process can be. Many people are still using manual processes to count and track and trace things. Some people on here may have used a barcode or perhaps an RFID solution. And we only really understand, the struggle of ensuring that all that inventory is kept an accurate account of. And so what we want to talk to Gaylene about today is how we're going to use RFID to find our stuff and inventory our stuff so we have it. Gaylene, would you like to start off? Tell us a little bit about Impinj and RAIN RFID, if you would.
Sure, happy to do it. Yeah, so Impinj is the leading provider of RAIN RFID products and solutions. And our people, product, and vision is really focused on connecting everything in our everyday world so that people can work more efficiently, make smart decisions, and create those delightful experiences that really make work and the world a better place to be. We are 100% focused on advancing RAIN RFID products, solutions, and services. And we work with a very comprehensive partner ecosystem. So our partners have an expertise across all parts of a RAIN RFID system, from inlays to antennas to readers, software, services, and more. And these are companies just like Asset View who bring complete solutions to end customers. So if you don't already know about RAIN RFID, I think it's one of the things that I think is a great metaphor is you can think of it like a wireless barcode. It's a standards-based, battery-free Internet of Things technology that wirelessly connects anything to the system that manages it. So things like apparel, pharmaceuticals, food, packages, shipping pallets, really anything. And what's unique about RAIN RFID is that people can identify and authenticate individual items beyond just their type. And you can identify many things quickly, up to 1,000 items per second, without needing line of sight and about 10 meters away. So you can see it's something that is very infinitely scalable and really about counting many, many things very, very quickly. It's a proven technology supported across the world, and we've connected over 85 billion items worldwide.
It's a lot of items. It's a lot of items.
So I think we're going to talk about how how companies use RFID for inventory management use cases.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. When we work with customers, we really see companies looking to solve in three main areas. One, they want to capture all of the business value that can be derived from having that accurate inventory data, correct information about the inventory that's important to them. The second area is really around the cost savings from increasing those efficiencies related to counting manually. Those manual counting tasks are time-consuming, slow, et cetera. And there's a lot of increased efficiencies derived from doing it more quickly. And then the third area is really around automating business operations. And that is such an interesting area, I think, to explore further what can happen in an organization when a thing that's being managed moves from one place to another, thereby triggering some other business operations. So I'll dig into each of those areas a little bit more. So the value of accurate inventory data. So many companies would, agree that it's really critical for business operations to have accurate inventory data. And this is one of the reasons why we've seen such a huge adoption in the retail industry, because inventory runs retail. What you have, where you have it, gives you the ability to then, of course, sell it. There's a lot of other advantages to accurate inventory in the retail space around eliminating overstocking or understocking and giving retailers the ability to sell down to the last items. When you think outside of retail, it's really the same, right? I know it's not that you're selling a lot every item, but you're able to effectively use all of your inventory. Another thing, like a great example is a company called Rentex. They're a professional AV and computer equipment rental. They applied RAIN RFID to all of their equipment that they take out to rentals out to productions, music shows, etc. They have 100% accuracy in their inventory. The real value to that business, though, is that they show up on site with everything they need for that job, which means they don't have to run back and get the thing that was missing or show up with the wrong thing or go out and buy something. So really that value of inventory data was just really core to their running their business well. I think that's a great example in that area.
Absolutely.
The other thing that companies focus on is increasing the efficiencies around those manual counting tasks. So when you think about, barcoding is an advancement for sure, but even when you think about barcoding, you need line of sight, usually a handheld reader walking around scanning those items. We all see that when we're out in the business world. When you think about what happens when you've got a wireless barcode, that means you can track items as they move through a space. You can read all of the contents of a closed box, everything on a pallet, everything on a shelf or in a cabinet or in a room. Eliminating those many small tasks can really add up. And when you hear a company like UPS talk about their RFID initiative and the productivity gains that they are expecting, in 2022, their CEO, Carol Tomé, said that they were expecting that they would eliminate 20 million manual bar scans a day.
A lot of scans.
That's a lot. You think about scalability, there you go. And of course, they're trying to reduce package sortation issues or mistakes around how they're sorting packages, preparing for shipments. But they really were able to, and at that time, they calculated an expected $500 million of cost savings in non-operating costs. So scalable really matters.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then that third area, if I could just go on for a minute longer here, is really around that if inventory management that can drive business operations. So the question that companies are asking themselves is, okay, once they've got their inventory tag, they've got accurate inventory data, what other processes can be improved as a result? Here, common things are alerts on expiring items. Being able to sort your inventory to use those things that need to be used first. Other examples are location-based triggers, so that the system managing inventory can see when something passes through a process step, right? You see this in retail, what's in the storeroom, what's in the front of the store. They're able to do triggering around restocking. It's similar stuff we see in businesses. And a great example, there's a lot of value being derived in the healthcare industry right now. One that comes to mind is Rady Children's Hospital down in San Diego, using RFID to track anesthesia medications. So of course they want to protect patients, making sure that people get the right medication, that things are billed correctly. But they're also able to then, with that real-time inventory visibility, see when they need to be restocked from the pharmacy and reducing some of those costs around medication waste. And then, of course, the third area is really around that compliance and paper trail, because they're able to track when that anesthesia medication is moving from place to place. They're able to comply with audits, reduce the potential for diversion, misuse of those medications. And I think that's a really great example of how a system can be designed to combine inventory with other business practices to really give an organization greater control over who, what, where, when inventory is accessed and used.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So Lori, question for you. When you work with your customers, how do you think about the difference between, say, asset management versus inventory management? I think there's a little bit of a gray area there.
A little bit of gray area. And I think you made some excellent points on kind of like the inventory management side in particular. I think the FedEx example is fantastic. I mean, what speaks about, you're reducing it by what, 20 million scans a day?
It was UPS, but yeah.
Oh, UPS. FedEx. Got Let's do that way. Nice. UPS. And then the cost savings alone was enormous. I think in this day and age, we're looking to automate, I feel like, so many tasks. And I would really challenge like anybody out in the audience right now to think about any of these kind of manual counting or inventory auditing type tasks you're doing, and thinking about utilizing RFID, to streamline your process. In terms of differences between inventory and asset management. So inventory, I always kind of think of as something is you want to make sure you have what you have, right? I know we work with a lot of data centers. If any of my data center people are attending today, and oftentimes they need to ensure that your servers and switches are where they're supposed to be. I know we talk to different data centers who aren't using a real-time RFID solution, and they have to take maybe a week, maybe more of time of manual labor time to actually go out and audit inventory all of their equipment. It's a time suck, right? I mean, they really need to be focusing on more important tasks than counting and inventorying. And there's a great opportunity to utilize RFID and really streamline that process for you. And so, again, inventory I would say is counting, auditing, checking, making sure that what you have is what you're supposed to have. And then the asset management part, I would say, from our perspective, looks like, if you're signing something out like a laptop or an item that someone has, it's kind of a check of like who has it, when did you purchase it? Are you checking on not the expiration date I'm looking for, the warranty date's the word I'm looking for. When is that coming up due? I feel like, oftentimes that's kind of the asset management piece. Depreciation, accounting wants to know, what's the depreciation on this? And those are kind of some of the challenges that we look to solve. So we're looking to track your inventory. We're looking to help you, catalog your assets and get everything, in one place, single pane of glass, if you will. And to do that all, nice and neatly, using the streamlined capabilities of RFID. So that's kind of how we think about it, over at Asset View. A question for you, Gaylene. I mean, we know what's been going on, in the industry, what we've seen. What's the future look like? Like, what's kind of up and coming? What can we look forward to?
Oh gosh, if only I knew. No, I'm kidding. I think we're seeing two big trends that I think are really interesting to keep an eye on right now, around where is this all going in the future. The first is around product authentication. So there's no surprise that there's a lot of challenges in the world around counterfeit goods. This is impacting, obviously this impacts brands when you think about, handbags and shoes and watches and things like that. But really, there's a lot of issues around counterfeit goods in other industries, building materials, electronics, food, medications, etc. So one of the things that Rain RFID is really good at is, of course, tracking materials back to their source. And you think about the ways in which the technology can be applied and the advantages that can be derived throughout the supply chain. One of those is around authenticating that a particular product or a material used in manufacturing is authentic at its source. So a tagged item used can be verified as genuine using a very simple cryptographic authentication key that's stored on the tag. So not only are you certain when you receive that item that it is indeed the authentic item, you can also trace back the history of where that material was used throughout the supply chain. And I think this is going to be a really important tool in the future around combating counterfeit items and really making sure that what we're buying in so many places, what we're using, what medications we're taking are genuine and were handled with care throughout the manufacturing process. I think that's something that we can all think of as important.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's fascinating.
Yeah. The second area that I think is also interesting is as companies look to roll out sustainable business practices, one of the things that we see is that there's a really strong connection with traditional efficiency drivers and sustainability. But the challenge is how do you measure it? So one of the things that RFID can bring to the table here is the ability to measure those efficiencies that are in those innovations and those efficiencies are intended to drive sustainability efforts, reducing the amount of fuel used in shipping, reducing waste, measuring changes in business practices and the impact on sustainability. Again, when you go back to that idea of tagging items that are moving through a system helps you see that system, identifying where those trouble spots are, also measuring improvements as they happen. I think that's a real advantage and unique to RAIN RFID.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely.
So one of the things that's interesting is, Impinj is we're really about that future. It's one of the things that we talk a lot about internally. What are those regulations that are coming, things that like digital product passport out of Europe? What are those technical challenges that need to be overcome in order for the industry to move and take advantage of RAIN RFID as a tool to solve some of these problems? But the good news, I think, is that customers, like your customers, they don't need to be experts, right? So I think one of the things that we love about Asset View is how you work with your customers. And I wonder if you might want to share a little bit more about that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And no, just for everyone on here, you don't need to be an RFID expert. That's why you have people like Gaylene with Impinj and our team, our engineering team here at Asset View. It's critically important for us to work with clients to understand your entire workflow process so we can craft the solution that's going to work best for you. There's a number of different points that we look at, as it in as it concerns like your floor plan layout, things along those lines. We need to know how far do we have to go to scan all of these assets. Are they, behind something? Are they in front of something? There's a number of different things that we look at when we do this, and also what's important to you, and what integration systems do we need to take into account. So the process to do this is something that we've done many times, and you don't, as Gaylene said, need to be an expert in RFID. Leave that to us. We'll do that part. You tell us what it is that you need to fix. You tell us what you want to streamline, and we'll work with you to make a solution that is more effective and saves you time and saves you money, also, because that's ultimately the end goal of what we hope to do. So if there's any questions, obviously, if anybody has regarding, RFID technology, or, asset view surfaces Impinj, anything like that, we welcome you to send us over any questions that you may have. We'll obviously get back to you individually so we can give you the time that's needed for each to address each item in particular. And before we kind of wrap up here, Gaylene, I just wanted to say anything, in particular you wanted to sign off with regarding Impinj or RFID before we wrap up for the day?
Yeah. We, as you know, I lead the global marketing team. One of the things we work really hard on is helping people understand the technology, how it's used, the various use cases. So we have a blog that we publish content in on a regular basis. You can subscribe at our website. But I would say come take a look at impinj.com. I think, Laura, you've got we sent over some information to use in the follow-up email. But reach out if you've got a question. We're happy to help connect you with partners like Asset View that are working in the space that you're interested in, and help you get the information you need to develop a successful solution.
Awesome. Well, Gaylene, thank you so much for joining us today. Before I sign off, for anyone interested in speaking with myself and a team here at Asset View more about introducing RFID into your environment and how we can help you inventory, track, and manage assets, please feel free to reach out. And I want to thank everyone for attending today. I hope you found it informative, and I hope we will see and talk to you again soon. Thanks so much.
All right. Thanks so much, Lori. Take care.
You too.